ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Verse 32. देहान्यत्वान्न मे जन्म जराकार्षलयादयः शब्दादिविषयैः सङ्गः निरीन्द्रियतया न च अमनस्त्वान्न मे दुःख रागद्वेषभयादयः अप्राणो ह्यमना शुभ्रः इत्यादि श्रुतिशासनात्. So yesterday we were seeing that my physical body is as good as an object of knowledge as any other physical body. So I know the various parts of other physical body. I know the head, I know the legs, etc., hands, eyes of other physical body. I know my hands, legs, etc., everything. I mean, there is no difference. Only, in fact, the difference, if we want to find, there is a difference in degree of knowledge. Degree of knowledge in as much as I know your body less intimately than I know my own body. In fact, that is how I can describe my own body very well. And therefore, I cannot describe unless it becomes an object of knowledge. If anything I describe, I must have experienced it. And therefore, definitely, this physical body, I am experiencing very intimately. And so it is as good as an object of knowledge as any other object, as any other physical body, or as any other object also. So, okay, how do you know physical body? Your physical body, how do you experience? Okay, I experience through my own sense organs. I can see my body. I can hear the sound of the body, and I can touch my body, I can smell my body, I can taste my body, etc. I mean, through sense organs, definitely I can experience the physical body. So, okay, physical body is an object of knowledge, and sense organs are basically the means of knowledge. But I am sense organs then. And that I can see very well that I am a seer, hearer, I am seer of the body, I am hearer of the body, I am toucher of the body, and therefore I is equal to sense organs. Seer, I am seer means what? Eye and sense organs, eye and eyes are equal. I mean, eye and ears are equal. That's how I say I am hearer. And therefore I am sense organs. Well, we said no, sense organs are also objects of knowledge, definitely very well. And therefore, it is also very intimate. They are objects of knowledge as well as instruments of knowledge. Both way you can say. Both way you can meditate also. They are basically objects of knowledge. Not only that, they are instruments of knowledge. any instrument of knowledge is different from me. That's what my experience is. To carry out any kind of a thing, well, I pick up some instrument and do the job. That instrument is not myself. I am the one who utilizes the instrument, and therefore basically sense organs are instruments of knowledge for experiencing the world or for experiencing the physical body. That's correct. But any instrument of knowledge is definitely distinct. I am distinct from any instrument of knowledge that's called, or means of knowledge, that is sense organs here, and therefore I am not sense organs. Okay, now, well, then I may conclude that I am the mind, because where all this conclusion takes place, as you are telling Swami, then we are getting a conclusion that I am not physical body, I am not sense organ. That conclusion is occurring where? In the mind. So, well, I say I conclude. Basically, I conclude, and all conclusions takes place in the mind alone, and this also being a conclusion that I am not the sense organ, well, I should be the mind. And so, well, okay, then experientially you feel sometime mind is restless. Then, well, you are restless, and that is true. When the mind is restless, I am restless. That is what my experience is. When the mind is quiet, I am quiet. When the mind is angry, I am angry. When the mind is having jealousy, I am jealous. So, when the mind is sorrowful, mind is having a sorrow, I am sorrowful. So, mind and I are identical. Okay? So, therefore, I, the self, is nothing but the mind. So, that is what we are going to discuss in this verse now, because that is going to discuss amanastvat. It has been told here in verse 33. Amanastvat. I am not the mind. That's what we are discussing. So, but how do I say I am restless when the mind is restless? How do you say, you are sorrowful when the mind is sorrowful? Mind is having a sorrow. How do you say you are angry when the mind is angry? You say also my mind is angry. Then how do you say I am angry? Well, how can you say like that? So, well, I do not know. But this is my experience. That is good. Now I will explain you further. What? Well, experience is not final. And so, it is not knowledge. And that is why experientially I know, but still I do not know. That's what it is. Experientially I know, yet I do not know. Experientially I know, but knowledge-wise I do not know. And what is the experience? The experience is that I know the restless mind. I tell also very clearly to others that please leave this room. I am right now having anger. And therefore, you tell also. Otherwise, how will you tell? And at least if you don't say there, but at least you have some serious problem of the mind, you go to the psychiatrist and discuss, right? And you discuss whole thing in different situations, how your mind reacts and what kind degree of reaction and number of frequency of the reaction, etc. And in which situation the all reactions come down, everything you discuss. And that's how he takes dollars, just to listen to you. He doesn't he just doesn't utter a single word. He keeps on listening. He just nods his head. That's all for 1 hour. And by the time you finish your, whole description, by the time half of the problem is gone. And therefore, his job is only just to console you. That's all, nothing else. And therefore, you are able to describe your mind for 1 hour. You can think. So experientially you know. That's what I am saying you. Experientially you know what? Your mind. Experience, but still you do not know. What? What you experience is definitely different from you. That is what it is. That is the knowledge. Well, experiencer and experienced object of experience, well, they are distinct. That's what the thing is actually. So that is how we say experientially you know, yet you do not know. Experientially I know my mind is like this, etc. And yet, well, I do not know. So this is possible. And so you cannot make a statement there, you are restless when all the time you know the mind is basically restless. Now how do you say that? See, what happens is an unknown restless mind cannot make me restless. Unknown restless mind cannot make you restless. When it is unknown, I would not say I am restless. Please understand this. I am repeating again. Unknown restless mind cannot make you restless. So when it is unknown, your mind is restless but you do not know, then you will not say also what? I am restless. You will not say. Because I do not know about the restlessness of the mind. And if I know the mind is restless, this is another possibility, other thing. If I know the mind is restless, well, it is an object of knowledge. Then also I cannot make the statement I am restless. Could you follow? First thing is, unknown, your mind is restless, that is unknown or unknown. Oh Swamiji, it is known. Oh okay, if it is known to you that mind is restless, then you cannot make a statement you are restless. You should say mind is restless. That's the one possibility. Suppose the mind is restless but not known to you. It is unknown to you. If unknown restless mind is restless but yet not known to you, unknown restless mind cannot make you restless. And therefore you could not make a statement I am restless. When you say I am restless, definitely a restless mind is known to you. Then only you can make this statement. And therefore basically, well, in both the situations, so I am basically witness of the restless mind because I know it very well. Mind is restless, that is known to me, and that's how I make a statement I am restless. And therefore, well, I am very witness of the restless mind. And when I say I am restless, well, I am committing the mistake of taking the object as a subject. When the eye is blind and I say I am blind, well, I take the object as the subject. When the body is old and I take, our body is weak, emaciated, well, and then I say I am weak or I am old, well, you are taking the object as a subject. So this is we call a mistake, an error. Vedanta has a single target, and that target is this: to knock off the error. And and the error is born of definitely ignorance. Error is always born of ignorance, and therefore it knocks off the very ignorance of the self and errors also. And this error is called subject-object error. So in which an object is taken for the subject. Then if you say, well, I am memory, that is also not true, because I am there to recollect the memory. Not that I have gone with the memory, because my memory is gone sometime, right? Swamiji, do you recognize me? And I have problem of especially, I forget the name basically. This is my problem. So, well, I recognize the person, but I don't know the name, and the person would feel bad. If I say, well, I recognize you, but if I've forgotten your name, if I say like that, he will feel bad. So, well, I am trying to recollect. So, well, when I am trying to recollect and yet it has not come, but before that I am there or not? I am there, right? I am there to recollect the memory, and I am there when the memory has gone. Well, memory is gone, yet I am there, and therefore I am not the memory. This is a very big thing, big discussion. Many people feel that, well, basically I am the memory. You are not the memory. So I was to recollect, I recollected the memories, and I was present to recollect the memories, to objectify those memories. And you say also, I have remembered, now I remember vividly, or I remember partially, etc., etc. So you are able to objectify your memory. You are able to talk about your memory also. And with which subject matter you have a memory, with which subject matter you don't have a memory, etc. Everything you are able to tell. And that shows very clearly that you are experiencing that. And therefore, Swami, what did you eat before 3 days in a lunch? That's a very difficult thing to answer. That's a very difficult thing. Before 20 years you have met, and perhaps that thing you may remember. But before 3 days or before 2 days, what you have eaten in the lunch, it sometimes is very difficult to, but anyway, you are there and you try to recollect what you have eaten, etc. And so you are very much present, even the memory has, or the recollection has not come yet. And if it has come, then also you are there, and therefore, well, you are not the memory, and So memories cannot, I am not the memory. That's enough. So when I say I am memory is not true. And then, knowledge also. I am doctor of medicine, I am doctor of law, I am this, I did masters in this, and etc. etc. I did masters in mechanical engineering and this, etc. etc. You say. So I am basically aware of what I know very well. I am not born as a doctor and I am not born as a lawyer, and therefore knowledge has come later. In fact, before knowledge has, I acquired the knowledge, I was present, right? And therefore I am distinct from the knowledge, what I get. And therefore, and so I am not the knowledge, I am not the memory. I am the one who has gathered the knowledge, you can say. I am, as a conscious being, I have gathered the knowledge. So I am very distinct from the knowledge also. And I am not ignorance also, definitely. And that's a wrong conclusion to say I am ignorant person. Swamiji, I am born ignorant. And therefore, at the time of ignorance, at the time of birth, the total ignorance was there, and therefore that must be my nature. So the self is basically ignorance. I am ignorance. No. Because I am knowledgeable also. When I make a statement that I am ignorant, it means I have at least the knowledge that I am ignorant. That much knowledge I have. And therefore, basically, I am knowledgeable with reference to even what I don't know. So I know what I don't know, I know what I know, etc. And therefore, I am neither knowledgeable nor ignorant. With reference to knowledge, I am knowledgeable. With reference to ignorance, I am ignorant. And that is not my real nature. These are all related things. Any related things is not my nature. This we call it as a sapeksha. And therefore, that is not my nature. And so, so what am I then? Basically, we say, I am aware of, I am conscious of everything. I am conscious of ignorance, conscious of knowledge, conscious of memory, conscious of emotion, and conscious of sense organs, conscious of hunger and thirst, and conscious of physical body. And therefore, I am the subject who is basically consciousness. And that is what we always, derive this thing. So, here it is said in this verse, Amanastvat name dukkha raga dvesha bhayadayah. So I am not the mind, and I am free from the pancha pranas also. So I am not hunger, thirst, etc. And this has been, Shankaracharya ji says, aprano hyamana shubraha ityadi shruti shasanat. Means this has been told that you are free from the pancha pranas. Apranaha means you are not the pranas, you are free from pancha pranas. And you are free from amanaha, means you are free from the mind, etc. Shruti shasanat means Shruti is a pramana for that. Which Shruti? Mundaka Upanishad says this. Shankaracharya ji quotes from that itself. Aprano hyamana shubraha iti. That is a quotation. That's a quotation from Mundaka Upanishad. And that is how he says Shruti shasanat. And the entire mantra in the Mundaka Upanishad is Divyo hyamurta purushah sabahyabyantaro hyajah aprano hyamana shubraha yaksharat paratah parah. So this Atma or Paramatma is basically aprana is free from the prana, is free from the mind, distinct from the mind. Shubraha means shuddha, free from any kind of impurities. Sabahyabyantaro hyajah. Sabahyabyantara. It is this Atma is inside, outside simultaneously. Means basically it is free from the notion of inside and outside. Atma is not inside and Atma is not outside. We want to say, okay, Atma is inside and outside, both. Then we have what is inside cannot be outside, what is outside cannot be inside. But it says here it is inside, outside both, means it is free from the idea of inside and outside both, because it is all pervasive basically. And therefore, space is inside and outside at the same time. So then space is pervasive. That's how it is has been told. Ajaha means, it is free from birth, etc. Anyway, so that mantra, Shankaracharya ji quotes here for to say that I am free from, I am distinct from the Pranamaya Kosha and I am distinct from Manomaya Kosha also. And we have discussed other things also in Manomaya Kosha called memory, knowledge, everything we have discussed. And free from ignorance also, and so we have discussed also Anandamaya Kosha, Karana Sharira, etc. So, And so amanastvat name dukkha raga dvesha bhayadaya. So raga, dukkham, dvesha and bhaya. Basically all this, they are the attributes of the mind, and they are, they are just fleeting thought forms basically. So see this thought patterns arising in the mind, and you are very sakshi of those thoughts. When you witness them, well, basically they become weaker. They become weaker and weaker. As you witness them, they become weaker. As you go along with them, they get a strength. What? All these thought forms. Basically, they are all thoughts, and just thoughts, and very fleeting also. Being thought, naturally it is kshanikam also. So as you witness them, they become weaker and weaker. And of course, and you are witness. You are conscious of them. And definitely you are conscious of them. So as a consciousness, you are witness to your mind also. And afterwards, well, if you have a verse called etasmat jayate, etc., in some of the text, if that is the verse, please remove that verse. That is bodily lifted from the Mundaka Upanishad as a verse number 34, and that should not be here, because it is not in the context also. So it doesn't fit here, and therefore most of the texts do not have that verse, but if in case if you have, you remove that. So let's go to now verse number 34. Nirguno nishkriyo nityah nirvikalpo niranjanah nirvikaro nirakarah nitya muktosmi nirmalah. So all these are description of Atma, and we most of the words we have, they are familiar to us also. In Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, especially from verse number 12 to 25, some of the words have come over there. They have come there also, and other places also we have seen. So of course, we are using these words along with the Atma, but we always use with the Atma. We never use with the I. During Shravanam, etc., well, we say Atma is Nityaha, Atma is Nishkriya, Atma is Nirgunaha, etc., we say. But this is Nididhyasana. So replace the word Atma by I. Yesterday we discussed that also. And these are my glories. Whatever has been discussed here in verse number 34, they are all my glories. And so, but I don't basically, own up these glories. Somehow I like to remain in the filthy environment like that. In India, there's some slum dwellers are there, and the government basically makes houses. They make a very, very big colonies, housing colonies, and they give a flat to them. And these people, they don't live that, slums, basically so filthy and very, very congested place and very dirty. Yet they don't live it. Even though the houses have been provided by the government and tell them to you go there, they don't go there. It's a much cleaner environment, everything. A one-room kitchen like that, or they give houses. They don't go. They remain there in this filthy environment. So like that, these are all glories. Very nice environment. Atma has all these glories basically. But somehow I like to take myself as a karta, bhokta, etc., jnata, and there is suffering also. But yet I remain in there. Somehow I have adjusted with all this, the attributes which are just opposite to what has been described here in verse number 34. So with opposite to these things, I will always face a samsara. We have fallen into samsara, and therefore, but somehow we like it. So we find difficult to follow all this nirgunaha, nishkriyaha, etc., etc. So here it is said asmi. Word asmi indicates don't use word atma. If it is atma, then the verb asti will be there. Atma nirgunaha asti. But here word asmi is used. And that's what I was telling you. Shankaracharya ji's concern that let's not use the word Atma in Nididhyasanam at least. Let's say I. So aham nirgunaha asmi. Asmi comes when aham, then we have to put it. Asmi goes along, aham goes with the asmi, or asmi goes with the aham. So aham asmi, I am all this. What? Aham nirgunaha asmi, I am free from, limiting attributes. Any attribute will limit you. Any qualities will limit you. Any qualification will limit you. Definitely. It may be educational qualification, it may be some other qualification. Any kind of a qualification pertaining to any body, subtle body or a physical body. And definitely that, or even a causal body. You take yourself that I am having a bad prarabdha, etc., which has come from the sanchita ultimately, and therefore you say, you must have done a lot of papam, etc., in the past, and so that way you consider yourself as a qualified person in terms of you. So you say, I am papi or I am punyavan, whatever, depending upon your sanchita, which is sanchita is a part of the causal body. Or you may say, I have so many impressions, and Swamiji, I have so many old habits which do not go, and that old habits are, Swamiji, from the childhood. So from, I don't know how I developed in the childhood, maybe it might have come with the birth. So all this maybe one can trace up to Karana Shariram, some of the qualities. And therefore, basically, because this is Anadi ultimately, Karana Shariram, which is Anadi. And Anadi means you might have taken several births in between, and so many karmas you have done, and so many vasana impressions you have gathered from the varieties of the experiences. And therefore, basically, Karana Shariram also is definitely qualified. My Karana Shariram is definitely distinct from your Karana Shariram. And that's how you have one kind of a subtle body, one kind of a physical body. I have a different kind of a physical body, different kind of a subtle body. If subtle bodies are different, definitely the cause, subtle body is a karyam, effect. Therefore, the cause also must be different if subtle body is different. Physical bodies are different, therefore then definitely the cause of the physical body, ultimately that causal body, also must be different. And so definitely if you say the causal bodies are different, there are qualities, definitely. Qualities are something which creates a difference. And you have a certain type of qualities, I have certain type of qualities, and that's how we have some kind of a distinction. So anyway, I am free from a limiting attributes born of any kind of a body. Or I'm free from all the bad attributes, basically, of all the three shariras. Nishkriyaha, I am free from activity. That is very clear now to you. I am free from transaction, we have seen yesterday or day before yesterday, we have seen, right? I am free from any kind of a transaction. So all transactions cannot take place in my absence. But I directly don't transact because I am not a knower at all. So therefore I don't enter into a transaction of a knowing process. I am not basically a karta also, because I am not Chidabhasa at all. Chidabhasa does all the job. Chidabhasa, associated, identified with the organ of action, becomes karta, and then there is a karma and karanam as instruments, and I am free from the transaction. So I am free from the transaction of a activity, free from the transaction of a knowledge, and so basically I don't do any action. I am free from transaction. So nishkriya, I am not a karta, etc. Nitya, timeless. I am timeless basically because the time is always denoted in terms of past, present and future. Past is past, present and future. Past is, then definitely past consciousness is, I am conscious of the past, I am conscious of the present, I am conscious of the future, and definitely they replace each other, but they cannot replace the consciousness, right? Past is replaced by the future, future is replaced by the present, whatever. So they replace each other, but they cannot replace consciousness, because consciousness is the truth of the time. Basically, they are mithya, therefore they are not able to knock off. Anything mithya cannot knock off satyam. The snake, cannot knock off the rope. And therefore, basically, any mithya thing cannot. Time is mithya, basically. And I exist without time. Several ways we can tell all this. You can derive it, if you know, we have done the one meditation based on the time. There we have seen that basically I am the truth of the time. The length of the time, if you analyze the time, ultimately it leads to the present. Past also is present, future also is present, and therefore ultimately present is considered as a length of the time. But in present also, what is the length of time? That's a big thing. Present year, present month, present day, present hour, present minute, present second, well, present millisecond, microsecond, picosecond. What is present? Because we have, it's a length. Length means definitely some of the thing will be in a past. Some of the thing will be in a future, right? Like when you say 1 second, that's the length of the time. Present means 1 second, this second, present second. Well, if you say present second and if you divide, some of them has already gone to past. Some of them, part of that second will come now. And then this particular millisecond is a present. Well, that also can be divided. They divide in electronics or something, they divide the time so much. So basically length of time is getting erased and erased and erased and erased. It's getting erased all the time. And consciousness is there all the time. When you start that present year, consciousness is there. Otherwise you cannot tell present year at itself. And then you say present month. Well, consciousness is right there as a basis. And then present day, still consciousness is there. Otherwise how will you say present day? So, well, everything, so ultimately everything, the whole time, present, the length of the time, even in the present what we say, is basically getting erased and erased and merging into what? Consciousness. And that is how the consciousness ultimately is the truth of the time. If you remember, I have given you example of a Mandukya Karika in which the Omkara is ultimately resolves into a Matra. So any sound resolves. You divide sound. You divide. So then if you divide into 4 parts, then basically, and take now the one part of that and then that part also will have a parts. That part also will have parts. So basically sound is getting reduced and reduced to what? Into what? Soundless thing, silence. Could you follow what I am saying? And therefore basically any sound ultimately has a truth in silence. Well, so therefore definitely the time also resolves into something which is timeless. That is consciousness. Anyway, and my experience also is there. This is called yukti. Logically we have established that time is a mithya thing and consciousness is satyam. Time resolves into consciousness. Mithya resolves into satyam. Anyway, and experience also is there that my existence is there in absence of time. And that is deep sleep state. Well, you are not aware of time, yet you are there as a conscious entity, and therefore definitely the consciousness is basically timeless, and your experience proves it. Well, Shruti says, and Yukti also we can say we have proved, and Anubhava also, sleep experience. So Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava, all the way we can say I am timeless. I am very just existence. Anyway, so that is how I am Nityaha, Nirvikalpaha, I am divisionless. All the divisions are there in the bodies. Right? You and me have a division. Let's say there is a vibhaga between both of us. It's all division based on Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira as well as Chidabhasa. Yeah, because the Chidabhasa is a localization. So basically where the reflecting medium is, there the reflected consciousness is. And therefore that also can be divided. Yeah. So well, Chidabhasa, one Chidabhasa is here, other Chidabhasa in that reflecting medium called body, etc. So all these are savikalpa. Sthula Sharira have a vikalpa. Vikalpa means a beda, division. Sukshma Sharira has a vikalpa. Karana Sharira has a vikalpa. Chidabhasa has a vikalpa. Chidabhasa is also vikalpa. And that is how even Chidabhasa, depending upon the reflecting medium, that will be different, definitely. So they are all savikalpa. And then, so nirvikalpaka means I am free from any division. That we can say. Then niranjanaha. Here, anjanam means basically here any kind of a blemish, free from blemish. So, well, avidya is a black spot. And so here niranjanaha we have to say avidya rahita. I am free from ignorance. And that we have already seen. I am not ignorance. Well, ignorance also is an object of knowledge. At least I know that I am ignorant. And therefore ignorance also, with respect to ignorance I can say I am ignorant, with respect to knowledge I can say I am knowledge, and I am knowledgeable, etc. Well, and therefore basically I am distinct from both knowledge and ignorance, which pertains to the buddhi, or which pertains to avidya, let's pertain to a karana shariram, and knowledge, etc. pertains to the sukshma shariram. Anyway, so niranjana means I am free from ignorance. Nirvikara, all the vikaras, shad vikara, asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati. So body takes a birth, and body definitely has a vikara also. Both the bodies, physical body and subtle body. Even subtle body has a vikara. Yeah, subtle body also undergoes a change. That's how what subtle body you were having. Earlier you had a mind, in which there was a good memory, etc. Now you may have a less memory or maybe more memory, whatever. And senses also have earlier more power, now less power. So all it is vikara, modification. So apakshiyate, apakshaya also is there, viparinama is there, and senses, the power increases when in a young age, from the childhood to when you come to the young age, definitely. The sukshma sharira also accordingly has a some vriddhi, and physical body also has a vriddhi. But basically I am free from all these vikaras, because I am not subtle body, I am not the mind, I am not the senses, I am not the mind. We have seen that. I am not the mind, I am not the memory, I am not the knowledge. And definitely then if I am not the senses, I am not the power of the senses. So I am not the sensual power, I am not the power in the mind, etc. So anyway, nirvikara, I am free from all the vikaras, all the modifications. Then that 6 modifications are there. And suppose if you don't want to think with respect to subtle body, but at least in physical body, vikaras are known to you very well. But anyway, we have discussed this, that whatever has been made from the elements, which we call as an inert entity, undergoes modification. That we have already seen. And therefore, even knowledge, etc. also, a lot of things we forget also in that. And that is affected by accident, etc. People meet with an accident and they forget. A lot of things they forget. Anyway, so nirvikara basically means I am free from all these vikaras, modification. Nirakara, I am formless. Simple, one reason why I am formless, because any form is an object of my knowledge. Any form. And therefore, if any form is an object of my knowledge, therefore I am formless. If you say, no, I have form. Well, I have so much of length and so much of width and so much of height, etc., etc. Well, then if you say that, how will you know? Swamiji, I know that I have this much height and I have this much. Well, if you know, if you can experience the Atma with having so much of length and everything, it is not an Atma, it is an Atma. Because you have experienced it. It is an object of knowledge. And therefore, all the forms are objects of my knowledge. And therefore, I am formless. That's how it is. All the sounds are object of my knowledge. And therefore, I am silence. That is how. All past, future, present, etc. all the times basically are object of my knowledge. And therefore, I am timeless. That's how. You have to say like that. So, all the forms are basically objects of my knowledge, and therefore I am formless. Like space. Anyway, chalo. Nitya muktaha. Well, so nirvikaraha, nirakaraha, nitya muktaha. So nitya muktaha, ever liberated. Means what? Right now I don't know that I am free. Still I am free? Yeah, you are free. So you are free that, you know it. You know that you are free. Then enjoy. You can enjoy life. Well, if you remain under the notion that you are not free, then you will suffer. Suffering is nothing but this bondage. So may you know that you are free. Okay, Swamiji, if I practice Niridhyasanam, that I am Nitya Muktaha, I am ever liberated if I do this kind of meditation, will I become free? What are you saying? If you meditate like this, that I am ever liberated, will I become free? That question is a wrong question. Well, So this is, liberation is not a new event. That's what we should know. Liberation is not a new event to look forward to, and I am free. Moksha is not something which I have to gain in the future. I am free. Free in terms of time, free in terms of space, place, etc. because I am formless, and definitely I am timeless, and I pervade. I am all pervasive. If I am all pervasive, I am not confined to an object, and therefore time-wise, space-wise, object-wise, no limitations I have, and therefore I am free. I am Nitya Muktaha. Nirmalaha, free from impurities. Now Niranjana has already come, right? Niranjana, free from blemish. And so Nirmalaha, free from impurities. So there we said avidya rahitaha. I am free from ignorance. There we said like that. Here we have to say I am free from avidya karya rahita. I am free from raga, dvesha, ahankara, kartrutva, bhoktrutva, jnatrutva, etc. Pramatrutva. I am free from all this. These are all born of ignorance. There we said I am free from ignorance. Where? Niranjana. I am free from ignorance. Avidya rahita. Here we are saying I am free from avidya karya rahita. So I am free from all this raga, dvesha, ahankara, etc. which are nothing but the born of ignorance. I am free from that. So let's go to verse number 35. Aham akashavat sarvam bahirantargatochyutah sada sarvasamashuddhah nissango nirmalo chalah. Aham akashavat sarvam gatah. So, I pervade everything like space. But here, aham akashavat sarvam gatah, that is all right. But then it says bahirantargatah. Bahirantargatah means I pervade the inner world. I pervade an outer world. Bahihi gatah, antargatah. So I pervade this body, etc. I pervade the world outside also. Which way I pervade? Well, in inert things I pervade as existence. I am in form of existence in the outer world. That's how we should say. I am in the form of consciousness in inner world. That is in the body, etc. But Swamiji, then how can you say consciousness is all pervading? You should say existence is all pervading. Well, it's not so. Well, consciousness pervades everything. Consciousness pervades every name and form. And consciousness is existence. And therefore existence also pervades everything. But basically consciousness will not be available as consciousness in a certain objects where there is no subtle body. Whereas this body has a subtle body, also this physical body has a subtle body, and therefore consciousness pervades here. At the same time consciousness manifests also. That way. So consciousness pervades everything, because there are no two things that Atma means has three parts, and consciousness pervades one part, that is consciousness that pervades this living beings, and other part that is existence that pervades inert thing. No, not like that. Consciousness is existence. Sat is chit, chit is sat. The very consciousness is ever existent, and what existence is, that is consciousness, and therefore that is, we have seen in Atmabodha. But then basically, so consciousness alone pervades everything, the existence pervades everything, but existence you can see even in an inert thing, right? That it exists. So in inert things I am in a form of existence, we should say, and in living beings I am in a form of consciousness. That's how we have to say. So bahihi antargatah, bahihi gatah means we can say like this, in form of existence it is there, and antargata, well, in this body, etc., well, in the form of consciousness also it is there. So both the way, and that is what even Purusha Suktam said, antarbahish tatsarvam narayana sthitah. Antarbahish tatsarvam. Narayana is in the form of inner world and the form of outer world also. And here instead of Narayana we have to say I. Antarbahish tatsarvam aham sthitah. I am the one who pervades inner world and outer world. So, when I say like that, I should not have any intellectual conflict. When I say that I pervade outer world and inner world, I should not have any conflict. If I have a conflict, well, definitely nididhyasana is required. And if I don't conflict, means my spiritual journey is over. I know that I'm all pervasive, including space. I pervade space. Space pervades all the objects, and object and space has no distance. Any object and space has no distance, and therefore, and space and consciousness has no distance, right? If space and consciousness, I am conscious of space, and well, you are conscious of space, Swamiji, but then what is the distance between space and consciousness? That distance should be in terms of space, right? Distance will be always in terms of what? In space. But the very space itself exists in consciousness, means there is no space is non-separate from the consciousness. And all the objects are non-separate from the space. Well, definitely. And space is non-separate from consciousness. And therefore consciousness pervades everything. Anyway, we have seen it. So I pervade. This is called all pervasiveness. This is called all pervasiveness. I pervade space and I pervade all the objects in the space. And that is how, well, definitely I am all pervasive. Well, because space is all pervasive when you say, but space cannot pervade the consciousness, that is I. I pervade the space, and therefore I am really the truth is I am all pervasive, not the space. Anyway, so this is how it has been said, aham akashavat. The example has been given. Akashavat, like space. Sarvam antarbahihi gataha. I pervade everything like space. Like the space pervades inside the pot and outside the pot, and inside the room and outside the room, inside the plane and outside the plane, etc. Out inside the aircraft and outside the aircraft, like that. So space pervades everything, but basically I pervade the space like that. Yeah, I pervade the very space like that. There is no distance between space and consciousness. You cannot have a boundary. Swamiji, this consciousness is over. Look here. Consciousness is over and now space starts. No. The whole space is non-separate from the consciousness, like the wave is non-separate from the water. The very existence of space and, the illumination of the space is due to Atma. So, and that is not to be visualized. People try to visualize it like that. You have to understand you are like this. You cannot visualize. Atma is pervading space. But I am a seer, and then I want to see Atma, which is pervading space. And that is where people get frustrated. They get up from the nididhyasana. Because you cannot see. All pervading consciousness, even all pervading space also you cannot visualize. Try. You cannot visualize. You can visualize something which has a form. Because thought can always, take something which has a limited form, maybe even a bigger object, but it still is limited. But if something which is limitless, you cannot make mind cannot form a thought of something limitless. And still people try to see through the mind. Atma pervades that space, and then space pervades the object. Don't see that. You should appreciate that the consciousness, is all pervading. That's what it is. And the space is basically non-separate from me. That is how you have to see. Don't try to see the Atma through the thought. What you see through the thought is an object of the thought. And that is object, not the subject. We are always talking about the subject. And so you appreciate yourself like this. And in appreciation, you drop the idea that you are limited. That's all we want to convey. You are not limited. You are not confined in the body. Well, basically, you are all pervading. All the bodies are within you. Not this body. All the bodies are within you. All minds are within you. The very space in which all the bodies are, that space is basically non-separate from you. And therefore all the bodies along with the space are within you. And therefore you are all pervasive. Never try to see, let me see how I am all pervasive, let me see. That is not going to happen. Anytime it is not going to happen. That will lead to misconceptions further. Anyway, so here it says aham akashavat sarvam antarbahihi gatah. Then it says achyutah. চ্যুতিhi means falling. Achyutah, never fallen. So I have not become samsari. This is what Arvindos etc. says, that basically Paramatma or Brahman has fallen down as a jiva. It has descended as a jiva, and now jiva has to ascend itself through transcendental meditation etc. Jiva also has to again become a Paramatma, and Paramatma has basically fallen down, as a jiva. So descended as a jiva etc. Well, that is not correct. Achyutaha. Achyuta means never fallen. I have never become samsari. Well, I don't require a savior. Basically, I don't require a savior. And Puja Swami used to tell also, that do a prarthana that may the Paramatma save us from the saviors. And therefore, that is the prarthana we have to do. We don't require saviors because we have not fallen down. So never fallen to be lifted by a savior. Let the Christians believe so, but we never think so. Anyway, Sada Sarva Samaha, I exist as Atma in everyone. There is no gradation. Well, gradation may be there in the bodies etc., but I am uniform in all the living beings. I am not subject to arrival and departure. I am uniform in all the living beings. Even inferior in the form of let's say plant or a superior life like a devata, well, I pervade all of them equally. Gradation belongs to Sthula Sharira. Definitely, a plant body is considered a Nikrishta body, and it is lower in terms of evolution, let's say. And devatas etc. or a human being is far ahead in evolution, vagera. That way you can say definitely. But Atma does not have any gradation. That's what Bhagavan also said. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parmeshwaram. Sarveshu bhuteshu samam. I am uniform in all the living beings. I am uniform in all, but basically don't think that, bodies are containers. And in varieties of the containers, we fill up equal amount of water. Don't think that way. Basically, the containers are mithya. And so, therefore, they are not really containers. And every body has inside, equal amount of Atma. Don't think so. In fact, all the bodies are in Atma as the wave is in water. Bodies are like the waves. And I am like the water. That's how you have to think. Well, we cannot say like that wave is a container kind of a thing and water is a contained. No, that's not. And so, this idea will always come. I am present in all uniformly. That definitely immediately will come that body is like a container and Atma is filled up equally in all the bodies. Don't think that way. So I am uniform in all. Then Siddhaha, there is a reading called Shuddhaha also, but Shuddhaha we have already seen, right? We have already seen that Nirmalaha etc., Niranjanaha, we have already seen. So now we'll take it something else. So Siddha, there is another reading also for this verse. And so we'll Sarva Samaha Siddha also. And generally Siddha Purusha we know in this spiritual world, we know Siddha Purusha. Sometimes they use for Jnanis also. Jnani or Mukta Purusha is called Siddha Purusha. But generally they use with the person who has miraculous powers. We call him as a Siddha Purusha. Here it is not. Here this Siddha is Atma. Atma is Siddha. So in this context, Siddha means ever evident. Siddha is equal to ever evident. So one who is ever evident and is Atma. The external objects are not ever evident. Generally, you pursue them, and when you pursue them, once you pursue these external objects, then they become evident to you. Like suppose I require a pen to sign something, and I am searching. Pen won't say that, oh, don't search, I am here in this drawer, don't search anywhere. No, you have to pursue. And then after you employ your means of knowledge, through means of knowledge it becomes evident. That is called Pramana Siddha. Siddha means evident, but Pramana Siddha means evident through the means of knowledge. Without that, this will never tell itself, I am evident, look at me. Don't try to search me, I am here. Once, it never says. When I employ my means of knowledge, then only it becomes evident. So there are two things. Atma is ever evident, means it is called Siddha. And Anatma is Pramana Siddha, evident through the means of knowledge. Without that, no. That's a big difference between a conscious thing, consciousness, and inert thing. Big difference. Atma and Anatma, biggest difference is this. Atma is ever evident, called Siddha, and Anatma or the inert thing is one which is Pramana Siddha, evident through the means of knowledge. Sometimes instead of Siddha, they use Swata Siddha also. That you are maybe aware of. Atma is Swata Siddha. Swata Siddha means, it is evident on its own. Does not require any means of knowledge. And all the things, basically are Pramana Siddha, means evident through the means of knowledge. That is how Swata Siddha, we call it by another word also. That is Aparoksha. So, Anatma, the inert things are basically become evident either Pratyaksha, either employing the sense organs, or Paroksha. Paroksha means like through inference or something, but that is also means of knowledge. Inference, presumption, words, right? And Upamana also, through illustration, it becomes evident. Like I am giving you an example of a Indian buffalo. You are aware of an American bison. And then definitely, I say, our Indian buffalo, you have seen, all of you are Indians, but I am just saying for the sake of saying, that, suppose somebody has said, Swamiji, I had never gone to India, and therefore I don't know Indian buffalo. Okay, still I can make evident buffalo, Indian buffalo evident to him through Upamana, through illustration. Illustration of what? Illustration of American bison. Okay? Illustration of American bison, I say, Indian buffalo is like American bison. And then definitely you can understand. So you have got a Paroksha Jnana of Indian buffalo. Not, Pratyaksha. You have not seen. Anyway, what I am saying is ultimately Pratyaksha and Paroksha. And means of knowledge are different. Pramanas are different. In Pratyaksha, senses are there. In Paroksha, inference and illustration and presumption and words, etc. are there. But basically, all are objects. Whatever is revealed by any means of knowledge is a inert thing. Consciousness is revealed by itself. And that's how we say you don't require any means of knowledge to know the Atma, because you are ever evident. You are self-conscious, and consciousness is self-evident. You basically prove your own existence. I am basically doesn't require any other thing. Even without thinking itself, you say I am. The thinking is possible because you are. Somebody said, I think, therefore I am. Ultimately, after a long thinking, he said, that's not correct statement. I am, therefore I think. Right? And therefore, even without thinking, you are there. So no means of knowledge required. So beautiful. That's called Aparoksham, which is not Pratyaksham, not Paroksham. You don't require this all means of knowledge available to yourself, to the human being. Without that, you prove yourself. You are evident to yourself as a conscious being. Therefore you are Aparoksham. So Swata Siddha is equal to Aparoksham. Anyway, so this is Pramana Siddha, Swata Siddha. There is only, exception to this Pramana Siddha is this consciousness, which is ever experienced before even you start any operation of a Pramana. So we don't doubt an existence of a conscious being. Now, but the question is, you are saying a conscious being, that is correct. But which conscious being you are referring? Because you are talking about two conscious beings. One is Chidabhasa and one is Chit. And that what is evident? What is ever evident? What is Siddha? Swata Siddha is what? Chidabhasa is Swata Siddha or a Chit is Swata Siddha? Consciousness is Swata Siddha or reflected consciousness is Swata Siddha? Anyway, both are consciousness ultimately. And therefore there is no one consciousness. There are two consciousnesses in our eye. That question itself is wrong. What question? That what is ever evident? Chidabhasa or Chit, that question itself is wrong. Chit and Chidabhasa never exist separately. They are always mixed together. This discussion will come in Panchadashi also later. So you can't find a place where Chidabhasa is located but Chit is not there. Chit is all pervading, and therefore you cannot say Chidabhasa is there and Chit is not there. The very reflection is possible because of the consciousness. Well, Swamiji, my face is there in the mirror but I was not there around. That is not possible. And therefore, whenever Chidabhasa is there, Chit will be always there. That is the one thing. Now the other thing is little difficult. Even Chaitanyam is also not there. Consciousness is not there without Chidabhasa. All the time consciousness is along with Chidabhasa. Throughout. No, Swamiji, but basically, how can you say like that? That even Chit cannot be, consciousness cannot be without reflection. Chidabhasa will be always there. Chidabhasa cannot be there without consciousness, that I can understand. Reflected consciousness cannot be there without consciousness, I can understand. But consciousness is also all the time with the reflected consciousness. Yeah. Why? Why? Because the reflecting mediums are there, one or other. What can we do? Reflecting mediums are there, and therefore Chidabhasa will be always there. Either physical body gets destroyed, no problem. Okay, physical body gets destroyed. But subtle body is all the time there. It will be there all the time. Till Pralaya, it will be there. Okay, but then that will die. This subtle body will go. And then there will not be any reflection. Reflecting medium is not there. But causal body is there. And therefore, causal body is there. And therefore, consciousness getting reflected in the avidya itself becomes jiva. What else jiva is? So let it, even Karana Sharira is unmanifest, and therefore that reflection or Chidabhasa is also unmanifest, but it is all the time there. But Swamiji, we remember that you said in the Chidabhasa also is not there in all the three states of experience. I still remember, and therefore now clarify that. Yeah, that's correct. That's a very beautiful question. And therefore Chidabhasa is there in a dream naturally, because you have a sense of localization, that I am a dreamer in the dream world, etc. And therefore, definitely, a sense of localization proves Chidabhasa. And therefore, if you say you are a dreamer, well, definitely Chidabhasa is there. You are a waker, definitely sense of localization is there. You are in this physical body. And therefore, that is also correct that in waking state, Chidabhasa is there. In dream state, Chidabhasa is there. But in deep sleep state, well, only consciousness is there. Chidabhasa is not there. Chidabhasa is there, because Karana Shariram is there, right? So let the subtle body and physical body resolve temporarily in a deep sleep state, but Karana Shariram avidya is there very much, and therefore reflection is still there. Chidabhasa is there but unmanifest. It is unmanifest. It temporarily resolved, but it is there in unmanifest. So far reflecting medium is there, Chidabhasa will be there. That's how we say Chidabhasa gets destroyed. Jiva will totally get destroyed. There will be Videha Mukti only when Karana Sharira gets destroyed. So, any of the reflecting medium is there, then Chidabhasa will be there, and therefore, definitely, whether you are in a Shushupti or a Samadhi, definitely this Karana Shariram or Karana Prapancha, etc., or even a Pralaya, etc., Karana Shariram, Karana Prapancha is not destroyed. Chidabhasa will be always there. And so there is no question of experiencing pure consciousness. Vidyaranya discusses this very beautifully. That there is never, I am pure Chit. Yeah, that's correct. But see, Swamiji, I have experienced pure consciousness. Never. You always experience a mixture. Only you have an understanding that Chidabhasa is Mithya. I am a very Sakshi of this Chidabhasa or ego. I am the very Sakshi of Ahankara, etc. The very I sense, which is born in the mind, etc. So I am Adhishthanam of this Chidabhasa, etc. And that is how you knock off the Pramata. I mean, you knock off Pramata, you knock off Karta, you knock off Bhokta, basically. But after knocking off, they will be there. That's how Jnani says, I am a knower of this. I did this. Well, I enjoyed this. So it is there. As a Badhita also it will there. Why? Why Chidabhasa is still there? Jnani also uses like that I am knower of this. He should say, I am not knower, I am not a karta, I am not a bhokta. He knows very well that Atma is definitely not a karta, bhokta, etc. We have seen also, I am not Chidabhasa, I am Chaitanya, but still, Jnani also uses that way. So Chidabhasa is still there, right? And therefore, only thing is, Chidabhasa is mithya. He has understood this kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, etc. is a mithya. And mithya thing, as I told you, and again I repeat here now, after understanding that they are not there, still they will be there as a mithya. So, because reflective mediums are there, and so it will continue to be there. Only for Jnani advantage is, once the prarabdha brings an end to this gross body, there will be an end to the subtle body. There will be an end to causal body also. Why causal body? Because avidya, ignorance. It has gone. In fact, it has emaciated. Like the physical body emaciates, subtle body emaciates, causal body of a Jnani also emaciates. The moment he says, I am Brahman, I am no more ignorant about myself, I am all pervasive, I have no more doubt that I am all pervasive, I have no more doubt that I am timeless. Well, this causal body has started emaciating. And how can you say causal body is emaciated? Have you ever seen? No, because the causal body is made up of ignorance. Causal body is made up of sanchita karma. Causal body is made up of all these vasanas. And the karmas, etc. also are started destroying. Vasanas are destroying. And definitely, and avidya has gone to an extent, to great extent. And therefore the causal body is no more a young body. And it is already emaciated. And definitely, at the time of death, physical body goes, subtle body also goes. Subtle, how do you say subtle body goes? That's told in Upanishad. I have not to say anything right now. And therefore all these senses, etc. resolve into their respective constituents called subtle elements, etc. Well, that is not a matter of discussion right now. Physical body also, whatever the gross elements are there, resolves into their own constituents. Prashnopanishad has said this, and Brihadaranyaka has said this, in other Upanishads also it is there. And the causal body also gets destroyed. Where is the question of reflection further? No. Therefore, no more birth also. Where Chidabhasa or the subtle body has to enter, then Chidabhasa has to enter. There is no more. That is no more there for the Jnani. Anyway, so this is how the discussion is. Chit Chidabhasa mixture will be always there. You should understand Chidabhasa is mithya, Pramata is mithya, Kurta is mithya, Bhokta is mithya, etc. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.